You gonna settle down? So I was a YouTuber fan in 2012. And I think because of that, I am forever cursed to be a little bit invested in these people's lives. I wasn't a Buzzfeed fan, but I did like some of the personalities, and I did watch the Try Guys while they were at Buzzfeed. And for a little while after they left, I thought it was interesting. I thought that whole why I left BuzzFeed era of YouTube was super interesting. I watched all of those videos. I think that I'm always going to be just a little bit interested in what's going on with these people, especially when there's a huge scandal like this. And since I know everybody involved and I understand the dynamics and why this is so like hypocritical and interesting, I figured that I would talk about it. Everything that I've learned about this situation has lived in my head rent free for a few days, and I feel like the only way to evict it is to just make a video about it. And I have a few feelings about it, and if I can't monetize those feelings, what's the point of having a YouTube channel in the first place? You know what I mean? I feel like every time I make a drama video like this, there's somebody in the comments saying, Brennan, there's so much more important things for you to focus on, like the referendum in Cuba or the hurricane or whatever's going on in the world. And I agree, there is way more important things happening in the world than friggin' Ned and his affair. I have more emotional capacity to talk about Twitter drama than I have to talk about, like, the way more important things going on in the world. Don't worry, I am paying attention to those things, and me making a video about something doesn't mean I think that another thing is less important. I mean, I've been paying attention to the hurricane coverage all week because it's super stressful. I have family in Florida that is directly affected by this storm. The millions of people have been displaced and terribly affected by this storm. So if you want to go help them out, I will leave links in my description to funding and stuff like that that you can look at. Another really interesting thing I've seen being talked about is the referendum in Cuba, and I definitely want to talk about that in a video, but I think it's gonna take a lot more thought and energy than this one is gonna be. So like, don't worry, y'all. Just because I'm making a video about one thing doesn't mean I don't care about the other things, okay? This is just what I have the capacity to make a video about. I'm not saying that this is the most important thing in the world. I'm just saying that, hey, let's talk about it for a few minutes. That's literally all I'm doing here, okay? I don't want to spend too much like summarizing and talking about the situation itself because I'm pretty sure y'all already know what happened. It's been being talked about for about a week now. What I really want to talk about is like why I think Ned was fired. Was it consensual? What about Ned's privacy and everyone's privacy involved? And some of the stuff that the former Buzzfeed employees are saying is kind of interesting. I want to talk more about like the implications of this and less about the thing itself. So bear with me. I should probably introduce the key players. So the Try Guys are 4 guys that have been making content for a really long time. They started on Buzzfeed and they left Buzzfeed and have been making their own independent content ever since. They've created kind of an empire of Try Guys. They're not just doing videos about trying new things now. They have several series that involve them and other people in the cast. Alex Herring and YB have a spin-off show with the Try Guys called Food Babies. So Alex Herring is also a public figure because of the Try Guys. She's a producer with the Try Guys and she's a cast member. The person involved with this who is not a public figure is Alex's fiance. Alex was also in a committed long-term relationship. They were together for like 10 years and they were engaged.
May of 2021. We've been together for about 10 and a half years.
As far as I know, he does not appear in Try Guys episodes regularly or at all. And because of this whole scandal, he has privated his Instagram. Ariel is Ned's wife. They have 2 kids together, and she is also a cast member of the Try Guys. She is in the Try Wives podcast, and she and Ned actually have a whole lifestyle brand based off of their relationship. Let's kind of talk about what happened. It started like a week ago when people started to realize that Ned was not appearing in Try Guys videos anymore, and it even appeared that he was edited out intentionally. And then the Try Guys announced that they were going to go down to 1 video a week. I feel like they were doing like 4 videos a week at this point, so that was pretty significant. That's when I caught wind of this whole situation. And then there's this photo of Ned and Alex with their co-workers in Vegas, where they filmed one of their videos that Ned and Alex was not in. And then finally, a Reddit user, Hamilton390, says that they saw Ned and Alex making out at a club, sends those messages to someone. The videos are pretty blurry. It's kind of hard to tell, but interestingly enough, Ned took a selfie with a fan at a Harry Styles concert that same night, and he's wearing the same shirt that the guy in the video is wearing. And then Alex also has been photographed with the same purse that the woman in the video is wearing. Then the Try Guys announce officially that Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys as a result of a thorough internal review. We do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate this change. And then kind of at the same time, Ned Fulmer releases his statement with this fucking profile picture. I'm pretty sure he still hasn't changed to this profile picture, by the way. As of Thursday, September 29th, 2022, Ned Fulmer's profile picture is still this, and his bio still says official dad of the Try Guys. He needs to stop. Honestly, I think at this point, he should just delete all of his social media and never go online again, but I digress. His statement says, "Family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship. I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused to the guys and the fans, but most of all to Ariel. The only thing that matters right now is my marriage and my children, and that's where I'm going to focus my attention." This whole situation sucks so much, but a lot of people attach to the words, "I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship," which I think is just an egregious understatement of what actually happened. Is he for real? What the fuck? Anyway, then Ariel, poor Ariel, posted her statement. She said, "Thanks to everyone who has reached out to me. It means a lot. Nothing is more important to me and Ned than our family. And all we request right now is that you respect our privacy for the sake of our kids." So that's really sad, and I really think that Ariel is in a very difficult situation right now. I feel terrible for her and her kids. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about privacy and requesting privacy later in this video, but I will come back to that. Then the Try Guys rebranded their social media, and Ned was removed from the Try Guys bio and profile photos. So the Try Guys are done with this motherfucker. And then also Eugene, Keith, and Zach unfollowed Ned on Instagram, and the official Try Guys account also unfollowed him. So they're done with him. I also want to share this text from Des Moines, which is a gossip account. Basically, I want to take it with a grain of salt because it's completely out of context and these facts are not being reported anywhere else, but it does provide a little bit of information about the timeline. So basically in December 2021, Will, Alex's fiance, found out that Alex and Ned hooked up and decided to stay in a relationship with Alex, but kind of told Ned to back off. And then in the beginning of September 2022, Will and Ariel saw the videos of Ned and Alex making out, and Ariel confronted Ned about it and was in New York with the rest of the cast, but she went back to LA, probably to be with her kids after finding out that her husband was cheating on her. It also appears that Ned and Alex were in a relationship for like a year at this point, which is awful. And it also says that the Try Guys employees and probably the Try Guys themselves saw signs that Ned and Alex were developing a relationship, such as they were flirting in the office, they had lunch hookups, they stayed at each other's places occasionally, and showed up to events together. I have a hunch that Ariel knew for longer than this month. I really think that if they were flirting in the office together and staying at each other's places and stuff like that, I think Ariel must have known. Ariel also works with these people, you know what I mean? So I'm sure that the Try Guys, Ariel and Will and Ned and Alex knew about this for way longer than we have, and even way longer than just this month. I find it really hard to believe that Ariel would be completely blindsided by this for like a whole year, especially given that the employees knew. And listen, all of these people are working together, so there's no way that Ariel didn't have an inkling, and I'm sure she was just trying to deal with it privately to protect her kids and honestly to protect Ned, because all of their assets are in the Try Guys, right? Even if she wants to divorce him, even if she is mad at him or angry at him, it is within her best interest to keep all of this private because her whole life is tied up in this guy and his persona. I really think that they all knew that this was going on and have kept it under wraps as much as they possibly could until this point. So that's the tea. Ned made an entire persona for years and years about being the wife guy.
No, Ariel! No, Ariel! Ariel! Ah! Ariel! Ariel! I went off course a little bit. I saw my wife in a cage, and nothing else mattered. My wife, 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 my wife.
He was the quintessential family man, and he made a brand out of that and profited off of it. Ned's individual net worth is $10 million. That is more than the rest of the Try Guys combined. Okay, Ned went to Yale. I think he started out wealthy and continued to be the most wealthy person on the Try Guys by far. This entire time, he had everything. He made his relationship into a brand, and that is why this scandal is so wild and so hypocritical and so damning, because his entire persona was being the wife guy, being the guy that is obsessed with his wife. And then he cheated on her. She had 2 kids with him too. That is so upsetting. I want to talk about why Ned was fired. What's messy about this and what's interesting about this is that even though Try Guys is a brand, they are also friends. The 4 of them, at least what they've told the internet and what they've shared with the internet and what they've profited off of, is this idea that all 4 of them are best friends and they came up with this business and this idea together, and they, are working together and best friends too. And what that's doing is kind of developing a parasocial relationship. So when you're making content, especially on YouTube, you're putting out a persona and you want people to like that persona and you want to be as relatable as possible. So instead of saying that you and your rich friends got a bunch of clout from Buzzfeed and decided to profit off of it further by making your own brand and your own business out of it, you want to say that you are best friends and that you love hanging out with each other so much that you just happen to make video content about hanging out together, because that's a little bit more relatable, that's a little bit more likable, and that develops a far more profitable parasocial relationship with your audience. When you feed into a parasocial relationship, that relationship is going to feed back to you. And you better have all of your ducks in a row and be at some level genuine about what you're telling the internet, because if you're not, people are going to find out like we did, and they're going to be really upset about it. They're going to be really angry. They're going to be really disappointed because you created a parasocial relationship with them. So they're going to react with their feelings because you wanted them to have feelings about you. But what I'm trying to say is people are seeing the Try Guys as more of a fun group of friends than a business. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, the reason Ned got fired is because he hurt his friend's feelings. He cheated on his wife and everybody's mad at him. I think that they were friends, and I think that Ned doing this definitely hurt their feelings. But you can't fire a shareholder and face of the business and executive in a company for hurting your feelings. You can't fire someone because they cheated on their wife, but you can fire someone, and you should fire someone when they lie about an office romance with a subordinate. That's what happened, and that's why Ned was fired. It's extremely unethical and can lead to all kinds of legal upheaval if you have a workplace relationship with someone you have power over. Ned was fired because he violated company policy and made the workplace unsafe. If he was single and developed an undisclosed relationship with Alex, he still would be fired. The reason Alex hasn't been fired is that she could sue the company. She could say she felt pressured to be in a relationship with Ned, and she could say she was fired for retaliation. I think that she's just gonna have to leave on her own accord, because there's no way she can go back to business as usual after this. Any video she appears in on their channel from now on is just never going to be well received. So I don't think that there's a path forward for her with the Try Guys either. They just can't fire her right now, and I think that she's gonna decide to leave on her own accord, or I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. A lot of people are rightfully upset with her too, because she also cheated on her fiance, who she was in a relationship for like 10 years with. That's so sad and awful too. But like I said, you can't fire someone for cheating on their spouse. You can only fire someone for violating company policy and putting employees at risk. Alex didn't necessarily do that to the same capacity that Ned did. I think online everyone kind of reacts with their feelings and their emotions, and they feel like if Ned was fired for cheating on his wife, Alex should be fired for cheating on her fiance. But we have to remember that life is unfair. There is uneven playing grounds all over this messy situation, but we have to remember that Ned was not fired for cheating on his wife. He was fired for having an unethical relationship with a subordinate employee and putting the company and everyone involved at risk. And I admire the Try Guys for removing Ned like they did. This is what should happen every time a skeezy executive does something unethical. They should be removed immediately. So often, rich, powerful, usually white men are protected by their privilege and their status, and everyone around them bends over backwards to keep them safe, to protect their own asses, and they get away with doing the worst shit. They should be held accountable for their actions when they put people at risk. This kind of unethical conduct not only puts the people involved at risk of getting hurt, it also makes the entire workplace environment unsafe. So I think the Try Guys did the right thing by removing Ned, and I hope their company is better for it. So let's talk about if this relationship was consensual or not. So Ned Fulmer made a pretty specific point to say that this relationship was consensual. Obviously, we don't know these people, and we will never really know how this relationship played out. But I do think that Alex was a willing participant to some extent, and I don't think Ned knowingly or intentionally coerced her into a relationship against her will. So in that sense of the word consensual, I think they both said yes. I don't think anybody was doing anything against their will. I think they both agreed to develop this secret relationship given all of the context and all of the information. I don't think Alex was being coerced into anything, and I don't think Ned was forcing her into anything she didn't want to do. Even though they both knew that each other were in committed relationships, they knew that it was cheating, they still were consensually in a relationship. However, no matter how consensual it is, I don't think a relationship with this level of power imbalance is ever going to be healthy or ethical. Cheating aside, Ned's individual net worth is $10 million. He is by far the wealthiest and most powerful member of the Try Guys cast. He was Alex's boss. He hired her. He signed her paychecks. He was a partial shareholder. He had so much power over her in the situation. And that is always going to be an unethical power imbalance in a relationship, no matter how willing the participants are. There's no way that you can have a safe relationship with that level of power imbalance, in my opinion. And then on top of that, you add how unethical it was that they were both cheating. God, especially with the kids involved. That's so sad. Ned had everything. Lots of money, beautiful house, beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful enterprise that is endlessly profitable. He was set for life. His kids were set for life. And he decides to develop a relationship with an employee. That just sucks so much. So skeezy, so unethical, so shitty. God, what a dick. Honestly, like, what a dick. That sucks. Why do you do that? All right, let's talk about Ned's privacy. Ariel herself talked about privacy. Everyone's talking about Ned's privacy, respecting his privacy. Everyone's saying relationships are a private matter, especially something so sensitive as cheating. The internet shouldn't be involved when we have a tiny fraction of the whole story. And at the end of the day, these are all people with feelings and needs, and they deserve to handle private matters without public input. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I am a public figure, albeit with a very small audience, with a very niche community, but I have been recognized in public. People are watching me. I do have an audience, and I do have to be mindful about what I put online and how I act in public. I have a public image, and I have a private life, and I worry about my privacy all of the time. And knowing that, I take steps to protect my privacy. I don't post about my relationships. I don't post about my family. I don't post about my friends that aren't also public figures. I don't share a lot of my personal life with the internet at all. So I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable with you and share something that will provide some context as to why this situation is so interesting to me and why I feel like I have the authority to comment on privacy in relationships. Because I had a private relationship. I had a relationship that I kept private from the internet for a year. The entire time I was growing my channel, from my first viral video to about the end of my podcast, I was in a long-term committed relationship that I did not share with the internet at all in any capacity to protect both of us. And I'm glad that I kept it private, because when we broke up, that was a really difficult time in my life that I did not have the added stress of sharing with the internet, right? And now that I've shared that information, I have to share more information to make you feel better about this story, I guess. And this is what happens when you share relationships online. You have to keep sharing. I'm not going to give you any more information than this, but I will say it was mutual. We both still love and care about each other, and we are both fine. We are both okay. Do not worry about me. My point is that if you're a public figure and you want something to be private, you have to keep it private. The thing about Ned is that not only did he share his relationship, he exploited his relationship for profit. He made a brand out of his relationship. He did ethics seminars about his relationship. He wrote a dating cookbook. He has a deal with Target for his family brand. He did a house tour. He filmed and shared the delivery of both of his children. The reason he's the most wealthy Try Guy by far is because of his relationship with Ariel. He is the wife guy. That is the persona that he created for himself. And that is why this cheating scandal is all the more messy and all the more hypocritical and all the more juicy, because that was his persona. He didn't have a private relationship. He had a very public relationship that he profited off of. When you willingly give up your relationship's privacy for fame and fortune, I don't know how entitled you are to relationship privacy when you fuck it up. Ned fucked up. And I think allowing him privacy is just a way for him to evade accountability. I think there's definitely a line in the sand that some people have crossed. I don't think we should be making too many assumptions without evidence to back it up. I don't think we should be bothering Ariel. I don't think we should be taking this personally as if Ned cheated on us. That's very parasocial. I don't think we should be deciding what they do with their marriage and their family moving forward. I don't think we should accuse Ned of doing things there isn't evidence for. I don't think we should be going to their house and looking in their windows. But I think we should be able to talk about this. I think we should be able to share this and discuss its implications. I think we should be able to call Ned out on this shitty behavior. I also think that Ned and Alex knowingly made out in public. When you are a famous public figure, you are going to be recognized. No one went to their hotel room and hid a camera. This was all public, and when you're in public, you have very little claim to privacy. When I was keeping my relationship private, I didn't go out to events where I'd have a high likelihood of being recognized and make out with them. I had to be conscious of what I was putting online and what I was doing in public spaces in order to protect what I wanted to keep private. It sucks. We shouldn't invade the privacy of public figures and celebrities, right? But it happens, especially to internet celebrities, because internet culture is awful. When you're a public figure to the level that Ned is for years and years, you have to take responsibility for what you allow to be seen by the public. Violating an internet celebrity's privacy is wrong, but unfortunately, violation of privacy is just a risk that we all have to take when we put ourselves online. And when there is a risk of something bad happening to you, you have to put measures in place to mitigate that risk. And it's just the fact of life that the more of your private life that you share, the more of your privacy is at risk. Parasocial relationships are a two-way street. I think as a content creator, I can feed into parasocial relationships in order to profit off of them. And that's what Ned was doing for years, knowingly. That's how internet celebrities get famous. They feed into parasocial relationships. It's not necessarily a bad thing. If you have good intentions, you maintain boundaries, you develop a healthy rapport with your audience, it's all good. But you have to understand that if you feed into parasocial relationships, they're going to feed into you. Ned knew the internet. He was on it for a long ass time. He made his private life his brand on purpose. And so he can't really cry for privacy when the parasocial relationships he profited off of for years come back to bite him when he fucks up. A lot of people really liked him and his brand, and they believed in his relationship. So you can't blame them for being interested in his cheating scandal. That's just the internet. And as content creators, we have to take some level of responsibility for it. And honestly, I know I literally just said we shouldn't make accusations that we don't have evidence for, but I feel like since Alex and Ned were in this relationship for so long, and I feel like something else is going on. It just has to be a reason that it's coming out now. They were in this relationship for like a year. So either maybe they just got too comfortable, maybe they were trying to get found out on purpose. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I feel like Ned and Alex knew the drastic implications of this scandal, and they did it anyway. Why would they go a whole year of being in a secret relationship and maintaining that secrecy and then make out in a crowded club and be seen together at a Harry Styles concert, very clearly just the two of them? Were they just getting bored of cheating secretly and wanted to cheat publicly just for the fun of it? Did something happen and Ned wants to get revenge on the Try Guys? Like, I don't know. It just seems so awful. Like, it's just so awful. Like, what a shitty, shitty thing to do. And so avoidable. Why on earth would you think for 1 second that you could be as famous as a fucking Try Guy and go to a Harry Styles concert and not be recognized and make out in a crowded club and not be recognized. Like, how delusional do you have to be? It feels like this was on purpose. They made out in public. What the hell? You know, maybe my faith in humanity is just too high, and me thinking that there's something more going on and there's more to the story and they did this on purpose is like me just trying to give them too much credit. Maybe it is just what it is that Ned and Alex seem to be very selfish people that wanted to have a relationship and wanted to make out in public because they wanted to, and they didn't give a shit about who would feel what about it, you know? Maybe they're just shitty people, and that's the story, is that internet celebrities are not what you think they are. So another thing I found interesting about this whole situation, and what I kind of want to end on, is what the former Buzzfeed employees are saying about this.
Hi, my name is Alex. I was a tasty producer for 4 years. Let's review some of my weirdest tasty videos. Okay, this one is called Meatball Stuffed Garlic Bread. And then I took those meatballs and wrapped them in a mozzarella blanket and stuffed that right inside that baguette cavity. The inspo behind this video is the audacity of men to cheat on their wives. I also had a nice garlic butter moment that I spread on top.
I think this is what's so interesting about having been a huge fan of YouTube culture in 2012. That era of YouTube was like so strange, and I think only now are we realizing like how strange it was. And every once in a while a scandal or something will come up that like just reminds us all of what a weird time that was. The Try Guy's social media manager quit the Friday before this news broke, and he posted this TikTok. I don't want to get copyright claimed, so I'm just gonna sing the song he used. You ruined everything, you stupid bitch. And then Jasmine J posted this tweet. Y'all, I don't know that man, maybe have spoke 2 words to him in my life. I am commenting on the larger issue here, which is when you give a self-proclaimed dorky white guy some power and attention, this is how they want to act. Because they have never been cool and will continue to not be. So true. 2022, the year we realized that wife guys are still guys. He's just being a man. Ellie Hall tweeted this, which brought up a lot of things that I am just not prepared to talk about in this video, but it is interesting. She said, there's still one big early Buzzfeed story / scandal that hasn't come out yet, and honestly, it's going to be an interesting day on Twitter when it does. And finally, to end on a positive note, I want to share what Kristin Chirico, I do not know how to pronounce her last name. I want to share what she's been posting about, which I think is really interesting. She said, one good thing I feel like I'm being reminded of on this day as I reconnect with literally everyone I know. Man, horrors and garbage aside, I made a lot of great friends, and I had a lot of once-in-a-lifetime experiences at that job. I think that really sums up 2012 internet YouTube culture. I think that there was a lot of people making a lot of content with no idea what the greater implications of that content would be. I think a lot of things went down behind the scenes. I think a lot of people were mistreated. A lot of icky men presented themselves as not icky men and got away with it. I think that a lot of shitty things happen, but I also think a lot of really cool, innovative, interesting content came out of that time. And I think a lot of really interesting personalities came out of that time. And I really find it so fascinating. I was so obsessed with it as a teenager, and I'm still interested in it and unpacking why I was obsessed with it today. Also, Kristin has a trans wife, which I didn't know. I knew about Kristin from BuzzFeed videos, but I didn't know that she had a trans wife. Like, that's so beautiful. And she's gay. Yay. Hey, look, I made this video gay. I was worried that this video was not about queer culture enough to fit on my channel, but here we are. Kristin has been using the increased traction to her page to promote Translifeline Mutual Aid Fund, which is really cool, and I love that. I love it when creators do this. I love it when creators take these opportunities to promote important causes that we should be caring more about than whatever this scandal is. So I will leave that Trans Mutual Aid Fund in my description as well. I think that's a great idea. I'm really glad that Kristin did that. So yeah, that's basically all I kind of wanted to talk about. Ultimately, I feel like the Try Guys are going to be okay. I think this scandal has brought them a lot more attention, maybe not the most ideal attention, but attention nevertheless. And I think that a lot of people, at least for the next few weeks, are going to be really interested in whatever they upload next. I feel bad for a lot of people involved in this situation. I think Ned really selfishly fucked up. I think that this is wrong. I think it's so fucked up on so many levels. I feel bad for Ariel. I feel so bad for her kids. I don't even know how you even begin to have this conversation with your kid. And I hope that she's taking care of herself and taking a break from the internet for the next few weeks. This is just gonna really suck for a little while for her and her family, no matter how much or little we talk about it. But I am rest assured that she has every resource in the world and she is gonna be able to get great therapy for herself and her kids. And I think Eugene, Keith, and Zach are probably really upset, rightfully so, and it's going to take them a little while to figure out what the new dynamic looks like, but I think they are really smart content creators that can adapt. I think that it makes more sense for the Try Guys to just be 3 guys. To be honest, after watching their stand-up comedy video, I was like, it would have been awful for there to be a 4th person doing this. So I think that they can move forward with making good content. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Alex in the next few months. It'll be interesting to see how and if they respond to this. They did tweet that their podcast is going to be postponed, and I think that's because they all just need a break from what's going on, and it did sound like they were going to talk about this or address this in the podcast, so we'll see what they say then. As far as a new Try Guy coming in, it would be interesting to see a trans guy be part of the Try Guys. I think that that would add a new perspective on the show, and I'm a trans guy, and I love seeing trans guys get representation. Try Guys try HRT would be really funny. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months with them. That's all I have to say about that. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'll see you next time on What is Annoying Brennan on Twitter today. Bye.